This is what they took away from us, boys.
We either get this government back on our side or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them.
And now his replacement looks like they really don't care about the First and Second Amendment. And that's why in this particular video, I wanted to do a video about some of the peculiar, troubling picks for Donald Trump's future administration that we should be looking out for, as these latest picks, in my opinion, are not only bad for America, but also bad for Donald Trump, his legacy, and I will argue at the end of this video, his safety. As of course, the corporate media's coverage of Trump's picks is just absolutely delusional. It's absolutely unhinged and unfair when it comes to their coverage of it. As of course, they are the corporate media. You can't expect much from them. And that's why I wanted to do this kind of larger comprehensive video where we get a larger picture. We get a step back. We understand how the future of governance is going to be looking here inside of the United States in 2025. As the New York Times says this article, saying Trump's cabinet, many ideologues behind the veil of America First. As CNN has an article that says Fox host, cable news regulars, and entertainment pros, Trump is casting a made-for-TV cabinet. As before getting into some of the bad picks, let's talk about some of the good picks here. As of course, what Trump is promising to do with Deutsche, specifically with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, looks like it's going to be historic, game-changing. And even though it's its own created body, it has the potential of unleashing, finally, a larger recall against big, bloated, bureaucratic government spending that, of course, is wasting away our money. Ron Paul, after talking to these two, was talking about how they could get rid of $2 trillion, and that's a lot of money that we could save if we stop wasting our money. As another great pick for Donald Trump, in my opinion, was Tulsi Gabbard, as The Economist is writing that she is coming for the spooks, and good, as she is one of the few individuals that, in my opinion, has actually stopped the larger destruction of the Middle East, specifically looking at the country of Syria, where she was able to, of course, give the American people the truth about that larger situation that at the time the administration was lying to everyone about as they tried to make it into the next Libya. I think Tulsi Gabbard was one of those few people, along with Michael Flynn, that prevented that from happening. And the biggest and best pick of all, in my opinion, is RFK Jr., that The Guardian is now attacking and slandering in all sorts of different ways. As you could really see who kind of hits a nerve with the establishment by the reaction of it. And RFK Jr. has had some of the biggest reactions, next to, of course, Matt Gaetz, that was ousted from the Attorney General position, as his ouster does signal some larger troubles for a lot of the bigger kind of anti-establishment figures within the future Trump administration. As, of course, if we remember in 2016, a lot of the big populist America First representatives, Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon, and others, were absolutely eviscerated and destroyed by the establishment that kicked them out unceremoniously from Trump's inner circle. And I think we're seeing that kind of happening again, and a lot of these anti-establishment figures are on the chopping block. As I think it's fair to say that after the Matt Gaetz ouster, the establishment senses blood in the water, and they have only been emboldened by this larger move. And that's why a lot of important surrogates for RFK Jr., like Sayer G, are now specifically talking about how senators are being targeted by a lot of industry lobbyists, and how a lot of powerful forces are going to be moving against the Senate confirmations of a lot of these anti-establishment picks that are going to have an uphill battle, especially when it comes to them becoming the future leaders in Trump's administration. And that's why this ouster of Matt Gaetz is significant, as we saw the establishment literally bring up old charges that were investigated by the DOJ that were never prosecuted, that he was never gone after for. And by bringing up this old kind of controversy, stirred up so much troubles that it literally led to him being ousted from this key position that a lot of people argued politically was very difficult for him to get to, since, of course, the Senate confirmations were filled with a lot of rhinos that specifically didn't like him not playing ball with members of Congress. As now he is highlighting the potential of him becoming the next governor of Florida, which I think personally would be pretty great, as he was replaced by the Attorney General of Florida, Pam Bondi, who, in my opinion, doesn't have the best of records when it comes to, of course, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. especially when you compare her to, of course, Matt Gaetz, as a lot of self-defense right groups really don't like her, since, of course, she's a major advocate for red flag laws, which violate due process here in America.
Out within 24 hours, the majority of them. So what we want to do is let law enforcement come in and take the guns.
Good.
They're a danger to themselves.
Which you can't do
others.
right now.
Well, because without being adjudicated. So because they're a danger to themselves.
You want them to take the guns and
when they are
not go through 6 months of legal trials and everything
exactly.
else.
Yeah, not the best track record for a future Attorney General of the United States, as she, of course, has also argued against laws that would limit and restrict free speech and the First Amendment in this country, saying specifically people who criticize one country in the Middle East should be, quote, taken out and immediately interviewed by the FBI. As CNN writes that she's definitely more, quote, conventional than Gaetz. As it's also important to note here, Republicans have a very strong record, especially during the Bush years, of violating and destroying the American Constitution. As no surprise here, Jeb Bush congratulated Pam Bondi on the appointment here, as she also campaigned for him in 2016. Lindsey Graham was also very happy about this pick, saying, well done. This is a, quote, grand slam, touchdown, hole-in-one, ace, hat trick, slam dunk, Olympic, quote, gold medal. She will be confirmed quickly because she deserves to be confirmed quickly. This, as of course, he was going after Matt Gaetz, who faced very stiff opposition against him being actually approved. As Michael Tracy also found out that she was a registered foreign lobbyist on behalf of Qatar, and she, of course, represents the kind of old Bush neoconservative guard of the Republican Party that has ever so been at odds against Donald Trump and his Make America First policies. Another questionable pick for Donald Trump is, of course, John Ratcliffe, that it will be his new CIA director, and he literally criticized Joe Biden for not arming Ukraine quickly enough and not sanctioning Russia aggressively enough. This, as he has also advocated for the United States to launch preemptive joint strikes against Iran. He has been a major proponent of renewing the FISA warrantless surveillance spying bill, which allows the federal government to, of course, listen in on your private conversations, text messages, emails, and any forms of communication that the government will now get to rummage through without even needing to get a warrant. Also, another kind of Bush-era-like policy that has been instituted here in the United States that, of course, is unconstitutional and violates American freedom. That guy now being head of the CIA doesn't paint a good picture here, as Michael Tracy also brings up how now Alex Wong has been named the new Deputy National Security Advisor to Trump. Another Bush State Department advisor for Iraq, foreign policy director for Romney Ryan, Rhino neocon Republicans, representing more kind of Bush neocon era kind of thinking inside of the new government that doesn't paint a good picture for America's foreign policy. And then, of course, we have the winner of them all, Dr. Oz here, who is one of the biggest proponents of pretty much all the controversial things here on YouTube that we can't talk about in an honest and clear way, as he's also a big proponent of red flag laws. And let's just say his track record from 2021 isn't the best, as he has also argued for children having the right to, change their biology forever, as a lot of people are now questioning, why is he there? That's a question that a lot of people are also asking about our potential new future U.S. Surgeon General that Trump appointed, Dr. Jeanette Nesheiwat, who people are calling the, quote, female Dr. Fauci. As her sister is also top brass at the NSA, she's a member of the World Economic Forum, CFR, and Atlantic Council, as she also publicly thanked Facebook for censoring people talking about larger health issues in 2021, something that clearly was a major violation of the First Amendment, and according to a lot of medical professionals now, led to tremendous human suffering.
I'm so excited, and I thank and I commend Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg for taking action, because this affects everyone. This affects our children. It affects adults. I mean, just look at the recent measles outbreak, the biggest outbreak that we've had in decades with measles, and that's no joke. Measles can cause brain inflammation and pneumonia and ear infections and hearing loss and death. So it's about time that they are taking action, and I hope and pray that other social media platforms will follow suit and do the same thing.
Well, she didn't need to hope and pray. That's exactly what they did, and it was absolutely horrible for the American public. Oh, yeah, I forgot one last thing. Dr. Oz is also a close friend of Marina Abramovich, and the two hang out regularly, so that tells you almost everything you need to know about him. As I wasn't really impressed by the future Surgeon General of this country. And then, of course, there's also now Matthew Whitaker, Trump's new pick for U.S. ambassador to NATO, that is telling everyone that Poland will be invaded by Russia soon, as he has demanded the expedited supply of heavy weapons to Ukraine, as he previously criticized Joe Biden for not punishing Russia enough. Now, of course, we also have Mike Waltz, Trump's incoming national security advisor, that has previously argued for U.S. and NATO military intervention inside of Ukraine if tactical or WMD's weapons are used, as he previously criticized Joe Biden for fearing escalation inside of Ukraine, as he has argued for Ukraine being able to take off the handcuffs and allowing them to strike further into Russian territory. This as Mike Waltz has also argued that him and the current national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, are, quote, one team.
And I also want to be clear on one thing, Jillian. Jake Sullivan and I have had discussions. We've met. For our adversaries out there that think this is a time of opportunity, that they can play one administration off the other, they're wrong. And we are hand in glove. We are one team with the United States in this transition.
That is good.
Yeah. As it's fair to say, looking at the current kind of situation that we're in with Russia and Ukraine, it's not a good one. Seeing the same policies continued won't be advantageous for anyone other than the military-industrial complex that, of course, is profiting very heavily from all of this. As he's arguing for a, quote, responsible end to this war, highlighting again some of the same thinking that we have seen from the establishment for a very long time now. And before getting into some of the worst, most awful, dangerous picks for Donald Trump, we wanted to tell you about how you could support our work, as of course we've been doing this for over 20 plus years. And if you remember, our criticism of Trump in 2016 was right on the money. We were viciously attacked by it by a lot of Trump supporters, but now, from Trump's own mouth, he has acknowledged, yes, those were some clear mistakes that we were calling out, that people were angry at us for being right about. And if you appreciate us being right and being able to tell you the kind of larger, honest context here and not just play party politics like everyone else here in the echo chambers that refuse to see the truth in front of their very own eyes, support us on wearechange.shop. We got a lot of great supplements. As right now, we're also fundraising for my legal defense on SaveLukeNow.com. We're selling limited edition hats and signs that are only available in limited quantities. We only have 100 of these hats. We only have 100 of the signs that are very special. Make perfect Christmas decorations, by the way. As the lectern guy just posted his Christmas declarations, and that's the sign that you could exclusively get on wearechange.shop and also savelukenow.com. We're raising funds for the lawyer. And if you want to see us grow and sustain and expand and do really incredible things for you guys in the future, support us now. It's more important than ever on wearechange.shop. Again, great products out there. We're going to have some new products up there very soon, but these are some of the best on the market, and you should definitely go check them out, especially when you're looking to start your own independent health journey. So wearechange.shop is the website. Go on there right now and get yourself some holiday Christmas decorations, as well as some supplements for your friends and family that will help them become the strongest, most amazing version of themselves. As continuing this story, I think another very controversial pick for Donald Trump within his administration is Pete Hegseth, who's Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, who has previously argued that we should have preemptively struck North Korea in 2017.
And what, will annihilate North Korea after we're dead?
Yeah, I mean,
we have to do something now.
There's merit in a preemptive strike. But if you got to do it right, it's got to be decisive. How comprehensive is that first strike capability? But history shows us that when you let dictators get the worst weapons in the world, they wield a ton of influence. And what about the history in North Korea has shown us that they're ever going to stop?
As in 2022, he has also argued for the Pentagon to secretly transfer more aggressive weapon systems to Ukraine. He was previously the head of a pro-war lobbying group called Veterans for Freedom that lobbied for the war in Iraq. He also campaigned with John McCain, is pretty close with Lindsey Graham, and has also called Russia a gas station with a flag, just like John McCain previously did. Another not so big winner here from all of this is Doug Burgum, who was appointed Secretary of the Interior and now also has a seat at the National Security Council. All of this as he has literally previously argued that the United States is already at a war with Russia and called for more funding for Ukraine in order to, quote, defeat Russia. He's also a good buddy friend of Bill Gates, a eugenicist who hangs out with Jeffrey Epstein. Another national security advisor that kind of makes you wonder, what are you doing in there, buddy? Is, of course, Sebastian Gorka, who previously had this to say on national television.
I'll give one tip away that the president has mentioned. He will say to that murderous former KGB colonel, that thug who runs the Russian Federation, you will negotiate now, or the aid that we have given to Ukraine thus far will look like peanuts. That's how he will force those gentlemen to come to an arrangement that stops the...
As Roger Stone wrote, quote, last time I saw this guy, he was hawking hemorrhoid cream on TV. Michael Tracy writes, Trump had 8+ years to assemble the best people, and he's once again chosen the ultimate fanatical blowhard Sebastian Gorka for a top national security job that's not even subject to Senate confirmation. Trump, quote, gets tricked into poor personal choices is laughable at this point. As Sebastian Gorka freaks out at the sight of individuals like Mark Gaetz and Alex Jones as he recently blew up and went crazy on both of these individuals as he clearly is very allergic towards alternative independent media. As Alex Jones had this to say about him.
Because it's not about Gorka, who's a nobody, wasn't even conservative, came into the Trump administration with fraudulent credentials, lied that he was a combat veteran. None of that was true. I mean, he's stolen glory. He's the snake oil salesman. He's everything he says we are. But I learned the day I was there that Gorka was going around having people thrown out. And I just go, whatever, don't engage the gay whales.
And the cream of the crop when it comes to the swamp, the thin layer of this kind of weird kind of gray, green-like fungus in Washington, D.C., representing the deep state, is, of course, no one other than Marco Rubio, that was picked as Trump's Secretary of State. Something that NBC News says Marco Rubio, quote, is unquestionably qualified to serve in Trump's cabinet, says Democrat Adam Schiff. Yeah, when you have NBC News and Adam Schiff cheerleading you, along with Lindsey Graham and these other kind of neoconservatives, Bush-era types that, of course, supported Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump in 2016. When you have these people who, of course, are remnants of the old kind of Bush deep state era that has destroyed America, this signals some larger problems for America under the future leadership of this new Trump administration that absolutely deserves to be questioned. As again, Mike Pompeo, Lindsey Graham being happy but Rubio being in there means that it's not going to be good for the American people. As again, Rubio has argued for the Biden administration to do more for Ukraine. Marco Rubio was literally in Libya with John McCain and Lindsey Graham cheerleading more U.S. military intervention, which in Libya literally made it a failed state that has brought back human slavery. And I'm sorry, having all of these people that truly never really supported Donald Trump, that represent an ideological opposition towards making America first again. These individuals that have been compromised, hijacked, and corrupted by the lobbying and huge industries of this country that have ruined it previously beforehand under the Bush era, are individuals that will not be making America great again, as having individuals that are compromised within your inner circle leads to dangerous situations for Donald Trump that previously had 2 major assassination attempts on his life. And when you have backstabbers, when you have the establishment and you're purporting yourself to be anti-establishment, you now have to worry about the second that you turn your back. All of these Bush-era neoconservatives literally will take out their knives, signaling some larger problems for Donald Trump, as a lot of the things that he promised, specifically ending the wars, ending the huge bureaucratic spending, ending the lobbyists, ending the corruption in the United States, will now be prevented by a lot of people who, of course, will be in the positions and seats of power, as a lot of these people are ideologically and morally opposed against Donald Trump and a lot of the policies that he campaigned on. Now, there's still a lot of positions that haven't been filled, but I think those positions should absolutely be filled by a lot more of the anti-establishment figures in our society, individuals like Kash Patel, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon, and all the other Trump loyalists that, of course, believe in his vision, believe in his ideas, and are willing to, of course, back him no matter what. As these individuals, literally, some of them were prosecuted, had their doors broken down by the FBI and CNN News at the same time, were thrown in jail and prison. And those are the type of individuals you want to reward here, not the old Bush-era swamp monsters that have destroyed this country. As I would argue that George W. Bush was one of the worst presidents, if not the worst president of our recent history. And having a return to his policies that, of course, spent so much money, created so much turmoil, created so much pain and suffering for the average American is something that I do not want to see. And if you agree with that, share this video so we can get this out there to the general public, since we do know that the campaign is listening to people's online voices. They are making an impact when it comes to the conversation and when it comes to a lot of the decisions. And now more than ever, it's important to be vocal. It's important to speak up, and it's important to demand that we make America great again, that America come first, regardless of people's kind of larger associations. We should be choosing individuals that have proven themselves, not individuals that have previously used and abused the system for their own personal gain and benefit. Again, Kash Patel, Stone, Flynn, Bannon, all of these individuals I want to see as top advisors. And the fact that we're seeing Sebastian Gorka in there, Dr. Oz in there, Rubio in there, and all these other individuals that don't give a damn about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, our own personal freedoms and liberty, is something that isn't good to see. Now, again, we don't have the full picture here. We're going to see how this administration looks like when all the picks are made. We're going to see how it's going to operate. We're going to see how it's work. Maybe some of these individuals are changed people, but overall, time will tell the larger kind of administration that we're going to have here. And if you really do care about Trump's administration, his legacy, and what he's going to be leaving America with, you're going to make sure that he puts some of the best people in there. So share this video. We return 6 p.m. Eastern later on today with Roger Stone in studio. You can actually call and be a part of that conversation by signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Stay tuned for that podcast. We return Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, live, all here exclusively on this YouTube channel. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.